The world will try to convince you that growth is pretty. It will try to sell you the glow up arc, the before and after, the soaring after the fall, the phoenix metaphor in a nutshell. It's like grandiose, like spectacular, and most importantly, immediate. We can see the before and after. The difference is starking, so amazing, magnificent. One day you are ash, and the next day you are radiant. The crowd applauds, the music swells, cut to the new you. But that is not really growth. It is packaged as growth, it is explained as growth, but essentially what it really is a product, and someone is profiting from that. It taps into like this almost reptilian urge that we have inside of us, this desire for conflict resolution as quickly as possible. We want problem solution immediately, directly. We want it to look as simple as it can possibly be. But that's not what real growth truly is, though, because real growth is actually ugly. It is slow, it is unglamorous, it is mostly very deeply disorienting. It doesn't feel like becoming. That's the thing. What it actually feels like is loss. Terrible feeling of loss. The loss of who you were, the loss of what you believed, the loss of the ways, all the little and big ways that you made sense of the world that you live in. The loss of relationships. This one hits hard because most relationships cannot survive your expanding, especially when you expand well and quickly. Essentially, you lose the version of yourself that was just easier to be, simpler to explain, more comfortable, more acceptable to your nervous system. And nobody wants to make a montage of that. Nobody wants to tell a story of grief. At least not to sell. And for some of us, this growth, this journey, it is not a phase. It is the whole thing. Our time on earth is not a series of victories that are punctuated by obstacles. It is more like a curriculum. It's a lifelong process of refinement that asks everything of us slowly, a lot of time without applause. There is a rival. There's always a rival, but then there's the next thing. No arrival is finite. And real arrival takes time. It takes a lot of hundreds and thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of small arrivals before you get into the big arrival, the one where your reality has shifted so dramatically that you can actually feel like a phoenix. You can actually feel like there were ashes before and now there's like a whole entire phoenix. But that's not immediate. It can never be immediate. For some of us, we are both the sculptor and the sculpture. We are being shaped by the very process of shaping ourselves. There is no moment that lasts where we step back and say, finished. I'm done. I've done everything that I needed to do. I've completed all the quests. There's only the next layer, the next excavation, the next thing that needs to go. And that is not a consolation prize, that is the path. But to fully embrace the path and to fully live in a path and embody the path, it requires us to grieve the fantasy of the quick win. To stop waiting for the transformation that announces itself. And to stop measuring our progress against timelines built for a different kind of journey. Because here's what the aesthetically pleasing and cinematic narratives would never tell you, is that the goal in this life is not really about accumulation, it's about liberation. It's a slow, quiet, radical freedom that comes from releasing what was never yours, releasing who you thought you had to be, releasing the need for growth to look a certain way before you can trust it. Those simple narratives, they're not neutral. They are pretty dangerous, actually, because they are measuring sticks that you never agree to hold, and they will make you feel behind on a race that you were never meant to run. Every time we consume a transformation story that makes growth look clean, we are being sold a standard to a journey that we can never meet. And the gap between that standard and reality gets very quickly filled with shame. But we do not need more shame. We have enough. Because sometimes growth looks like not knowing if we're healing or falling apart. It's the period where we can't go back to who we were, but we haven't arrived at who we are becoming either. Sometimes it's the in-between that has no name and no timeline. No moment where someone hands us a certificate and goes like, hey, you made it, you're different now. It's more subtle than that. It's the same life. It's the same triggers, the same patterns knocking at our door. But something in the flavor has shifted. Maybe it's something in how it lands. Sometimes you can't really explain it. You just know that the thing that used to swallow you whole now only grazes you. And that's pretty cool. The thing that used to take weeks to recover from now only takes a couple of days. And sometimes even hours. And we didn't really notice it changing because real growth doesn't really announce itself. It is observed after the fact. And then, if you stay the course, something else happens. The disorientation lifts. Not dramatically, but one day you realize that the ground beneath you feels different. It's more solid, it's more yours. The noise that used to live inside you has settled into something you can actually hear. Your own voice, clearer than it has ever been before. You stop performing, you start inhabiting, you stop managing, you start living. The questions that used to keep you up at night don't disappear, but they stop feeling like threats. And some of them go away, others come in their place. They become companions to your journey, not intruders that you try to kick away. It is worth it. At the end of the day, all of it, the confusion, the loss, the unglamorous in between, not because suffering is noble, but because what is waiting on the other side of it is the most real thing we will ever experience. Ourselves. Finally, fully, freely. That's what we're really after when we talk about growth. The destination is you, and nobody knows what you are going to look like. Not even you. But it is everything. And it's worth every minute of struggle.